Millionaire Humiliates. Two northerners in a luxury hotel, only to receive a life-changing notice that forces him to reevaluate his actions and their impact on others. Clara and Ben stepped into the Grand Riverton Hotel, their senses overwhelmed by the glitz and glamour surrounding them. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, and elegantly dressed guests laughed and mingled, creating an atmosphere that felt both magical and intimidating. Clara adjusted her simple dress, a stark contrast to the designer gowns swirling around her. Ben, wearing a crisp shirt but no jacket, felt the weight of their out-of-place appearance pressing down on him. Despite their nerves, a flicker of hope ignited within them. They had worked hard to get here, and tonight was a chance to network, to connect with people who could help their dreams take flight. "Do you think anyone will notice us?" Clara whispered, her eyes darting around the room. "Why wouldn't they?" Ben replied, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "We belong here just as much as they do." As the couple moved deeper into the crowd, the tension in the air thickened. They spotted Victor Harrington, a local business magnate known for his ruthless demeanor, standing at the center of a group of wealthy investors. His laughter boomed, cutting through the chatter. Clara felt a shiver run down her spine. She had heard stories about Victor's arrogance, but seeing him in person was another matter entirely. Victor's gaze landed on Clara and Ben, and a smirk crept across his face. "Look at this couple," he called out, drawing the attention of those nearby. "Did you two get lost on your way to the barn?" Laughter erupted around them, sharp and biting. Clara's heart sank, and tears began to form in her eyes. She could feel the stares, the judgment, like a spotlight shining on her. The humiliation wrapped around her like a cold blanket, stifling her spirit. Ben clenched his fists, anger bubbling beneath the surface. "That's enough, Victor," he shouted, stepping forward. "You don't know us." "Oh, but I do," Victor replied, his voice dripping with disdain. "You two are just a couple of dreamers, playing in a world you don't belong to." He leaned in closer, his tone mocking. "Why don't you go back to where you came from?" The crowd gasped, the laughter fading as the tension escalated. Clara's tears flowed freely now, each drop a testament to the pain of being belittled in front of so many. Ben felt his anger surge, and he stepped closer to Victor, ready to defend Clara and their dreams. "You think you're better than us because you have money?" Ben spat, his voice rising. "What you have doesn't define who you are." Victor's laughter returned, though it held a hint of irritation now. "You think your little farm means anything to anyone here? You're just a blip on the radar." The words hung heavy in the air, and Clara felt as though the world had collapsed around her. She turned away, unable to bear the weight of the moment. Ben, fueled by a mix of anger and desperation, felt the room spinning. Did Victor not understand the hard work and dedication they poured into their lives? Did he not see the dreams they fought for? As the confrontation escalated, a nearby guest recorded the incident on their phone. Within moments, the video of the gala incident began to circulate online, capturing the moment Victor Harrington's arrogance clashed with Clara and Ben's resilience. The public quickly took notice, and sympathy poured in for the young couple, igniting conversations about class, respect, and the power of standing up against bullies. In the aftermath of the gala, Clara and Ben found themselves at the center of a storm they never expected. Their identities, once tethered to their humble beginnings, were now becoming symbols of resistance. But for now, all Clara could think about was the sting of Victor's words and the tears that had fallen in a room filled with laughter. Would this moment define them, or could they rise above it? Only time would tell as they navigated the unexpected path ahead. In the days following the gala incident, Clara and Ben found themselves in a whirlwind of unexpected attention. News of Victor Harrington's public mockery spread like wildfire, and soon they were not just a couple from a small town, but symbols of resistance against bullying and elitism. As they walked through their community, they noticed more people smiling at them, nodding in support, and even stopping to chat. "Can you believe this?" Clara said one afternoon, her voice a mix of disbelief and hope. They were sitting on a park bench, the sun shining down on them. I never thought something like this could happen to us. Ben looked out at the children playing nearby. It's good to see people rallying behind us. Maybe our story can help others who feel small. Their phones buzzed incessantly with messages and emails from people wanting to offer help or share their own stories. It felt overwhelming, but also empowering. Clara realized that her tears from the gala had turned into a powerful rallying cry. Meanwhile, the repercussions of Victor's actions began to unfold. News outlets reported on the investigation into his company, highlighting unethical practices that had long been brushed aside. Victor was losing his grip on the world he had built, and his once untouchable reputation was crumbling. In a sleek office high above the city, Victor sat alone, staring at the screens displaying the latest news. His assistant, Maria, cautiously entered the room. "Victor, the board is getting anxious. They want to know how you plan to handle this situation," she said, her voice steady but concerned. Victor rubbed his temples, feeling the weight of his choices. "I know. Just give me some time. I need to think." Maria nodded and left, closing the door softly behind her. Victor leaned back in his chair, recalling the laughter and joy of his childhood. He remembered his father, a humble man who taught him about respect and kindness. Why did I stray so far from those lessons? Victor whispered to himself, his heart heavy with regret. Back in the small town, Clara met with her friends at a local cafe. They gathered around a table, sipping coffee and sharing their thoughts on the recent events. "Clara, I saw that video of you and Ben," her friend Lisa said, concern etched on her face. "It was awful, but you both handled it with such grace." "Grace?" Clara shook her head, wiping away a stray tear. "I felt so powerless in that moment. I never wanted to be a symbol of anything." "But you are," Lisa insisted. "Your story has touched so many. You have a chance to help others now." Clara sighed, feeling the weight of expectation. "I just want to make a difference. I want to help small farmers like my parents. They work so hard, but they struggle against big corporations." Ben, who had been listening quietly, chimed in. "What if we started a project? We could gather support from the community to help small farmers stand up against corporate giants." Clara's eyes lit up at the idea. "Yes, we can create a platform for them to share their stories and resources. Together, we can show that we won't be bullied anymore." As they left the cafe, Clara and Ben felt a sense of purpose in their hearts. They began reaching out to local farmers and organizing community meetings. The pain of the gala incident transformed into a fire of hope and determination. Word spread quickly, and soon they had gathered a group of passionate individuals, all eager to join the fight for small farmers. Clara and Ben stood in front of the group, their hearts racing with excitement. "Thank you all for being here," Clara said, her voice steady. "This is just the beginning. Together, we can make a difference." The group erupted into applause, and Clara felt a surge of energy. They all believed in something greater than themselves, and that belief would carry them forward. Meanwhile, Victor began to realize the impact of his actions. He watched from a distance as news of Clara and Ben's project reached the media. His heart ached, not just from losing his reputation, but because he could see the strength in the couple he had once mocked. In the shadows of his penthouse, he pondered his next move. Perhaps it was time to embrace the lessons he had long forgotten. In the heart of the city, Victor Harrington sat alone in his lavish penthouse, surrounded by the trappings of wealth that he had worked so hard to obtain. The view from his towering window showcased the bustling streets below, but Victor felt a deep sense of emptiness. The recent events following the gala weighed heavily on his mind, and he found himself drifting back to memories of his childhood. He closed his eyes, and the images of a simpler time flooded back. He could see his father, a humble man, teaching him about empathy and respect. "Always treat others as you want to be treated, Victor," his father had said, his voice warm and kind. "Money and power mean nothing if you do not have respect for those around you." But those lessons seemed distant now, buried beneath the layers of his ambition and success. Victor opened his eyes and looked around the penthouse. The expensive art on the walls, the designer furniture, and the latest gadgets all seemed to mock him. "What have I become?" he whispered to himself, feeling the weight of regret settle in his chest. He had sacrificed so much for this life, but at what cost? The arrogance that had brought him fame was now isolating him from everyone he once called friends. His phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was an update about the investigation into his company's practices. News outlets were relentless, and Victor felt the walls closing in on him. He tossed the phone aside, unable to bear the thought of facing the outside world. "They don't understand," he muttered, frustration boiling inside him. "They don't know what it takes to build an empire." Yet, as the evening wore on, he found himself reflecting on Clara and Ben. They had become symbols of resistance, and their story resonated with many. Victor could not shake the feeling that their pain was somehow a reflection of his own failures. "They deserve better," he thought, a flicker of empathy igniting in his heart. "I pushed them into the spotlight, and for what?" Victor stood up and walked to the window, staring out into the city. Is this what success looks like? Being alone and hated? He recalled Clara's tears at the gala, the moment when he had chosen to mock them rather than uplift them. "I was cruel," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "And for what? A moment of laughter at their expense?" As he continued to ponder, the weight of his pride pressed down on him. He had built his life on a foundation of arrogance, and now it was crumbling. What if I reached out to them? The thought crossed his mind like a lightning bolt. What if I apologized? The idea terrified him. What if Clara and Ben rejected him? What if they wanted nothing to do with him? Yet, the thought of making amends sparked a sense of hope within him. "I can't keep running away from my mistakes," he said, feeling a sense of determination rise. "I need to take responsibility." He picked up his phone again, contemplating the message he could send. "I'll invite them to the event for small businesses," he decided. "It could be a chance to show them that I want to change." Just as he was about to type, fear gripped him. What if they don't believe me? What if they think I'm just trying to save my reputation? Victor took a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. They might not trust me, and I can't blame them, he thought, but I have to try. I owe it to them. With newfound clarity, he composed a message, pouring his heart into it. He apologized for his actions and expressed a desire to support their work. As he sent the message, Victor felt a weight lift off his shoulders. "This is the first step," he said to himself, a mix of hope and anxiety swirling within him. "No matter what happens next, I have to face the truth of who I am and who I want to become." Victor turned away from the window, a flicker of determination in his eyes. He knew the road ahead would not be easy, but for the first time in a long while, he felt ready to confront his past and seek redemption. The evening air was filled with a mix of excitement and nervousness as Clara and Ben stood outside the community center. They had received an invitation to an event celebrating small businesses, a chance to share their journey since the gala incident. The couple felt a surge of hope, thinking this could be their moment to shine. "Are you ready for this?" Ben asked, glancing at Clara. He could see the mix of emotions on her face, excitement, fear, and a hint of uncertainty. "I think so," Clara replied, taking a deep breath. "It feels like a big step for us, doesn't it?" "Yes, it does. And it's important for us to be here, to show everyone how far we've come," Ben said, squeezing her hand for reassurance. As they entered the center, they noticed the warm glow of lights and the buzz of conversations around them. Local business owners mingled, sharing their stories and dreams. Clara and Ben felt a sense of belonging amidst the crowd, a stark contrast to the gala where they had felt out of place. Then, to their surprise, they spotted Victor Harrington across the room. He stood apart from the crowd, his usual confident demeanor replaced by a look of deep contemplation. Clara and Ben exchanged glances, the tension of his presence palpable. "Should we invite him?" Clara whispered, her voice barely above a murmur. Ben hesitated. "After what he did, I don't know if that's a good idea." Clara thought for a moment. "But what if we extend an olive branch? Maybe he's ready to change." Taking a deep breath, Ben nodded. "Okay, let's do it." They approached Victor, who looked up with a mixture of surprise and apprehension. Clara spoke first, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Victor, we wanted to invite you to join us tonight. We think it could be good for all of us," she said, her eyes searching his for a sign of understanding. Victor seemed taken aback. "You want me to join you? After everything?" "Yes," Ben interjected. "We believe in growth and change. We thought it might be a chance for you to see what we are working on and to talk." Victor looked at them, a flicker of remorse crossing his face. "I appreciate that. I know I have a lot to answer for." As they moved to a quieter corner of the room, the atmosphere shifted. Clara and Ben felt the weight of the past, yet a sense of hope began to blossom. Clara spoke first, her voice softening. "We've been working on a project to help small farmers. It's important to us to make a difference, to help those who struggle against bigger companies." Victor nodded slowly, his gaze distant. "I've been reflecting on my actions. I realize now how my words hurt you both. I was arrogant, and I let my success blind me." Ben crossed his arms, still cautious. "It's not easy to admit that. Why should we trust you?" "Because I want to change," Victor said earnestly, his voice breaking slightly. "I want to use my resources for good. I see now that my wealth means nothing if it is not used to uplift others." Clara's heart ached at the sincerity in his voice. "If you really want to help, we could use someone with your experience. But it's going to take time to earn our trust." "Of course," Victor replied, his expression earnest. "I understand that. I just want a chance to prove myself." As they continued to talk, the walls of hostility began to crumble. They shared their stories, their dreams, and the lessons they had learned since the gala incident. The conversation flowed, each word building a bridge between them. "I never realized how my actions could affect others," Victor confessed. "I want to make amends, to be part of something greater." Clara smiled softly. "Then let's work together. It won't be easy, but we can create something meaningful." As the night wore on, the trio found a sense of understanding and newfound respect for one another. The event, which had started with uncertainty, turned into a night of possibilities and hope. In that moment, amidst laughter and shared dreams, Clara, Ben, and Victor began to forge a bond that none of them had anticipated. They knew the road ahead would be challenging, but together they stood on the brink of change, ready to embrace the journey ahead. The night of the small business celebration was filled with nervous energy. Clara and Ben stood side by side, their hearts racing as they prepared to address the audience. The room buzzed with excitement, and the air was thick with anticipation. It had been weeks since the gala incident, and now they found themselves on a stage, ready to share their journey. As they looked out at the crowd, Clara took a deep breath. "This is our chance," she whispered to Ben, "to show everyone what we can do." Ben nodded, his jaw set with determination. "We're not just here to tell our story. We want to inspire others." When it was their turn to speak, Clara stepped up to the microphone. She felt the weight of many eyes watching her, but she remembered the support they had received since the incident. "Thank you all for being here tonight," she began, her voice steady. "We have faced many challenges, but we believe that together, we can make a difference." The crowd listened intently as Clara shared how the gala incident had sparked a fire within them. "We want to help small farmers fight against the big corporations that often overlook them," she continued. "Our mission is to create a community where everyone can thrive." As Clara spoke, Ben felt a surge of pride. He could see the passion in her eyes, and it fueled his own resolve. When it was his turn, he stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. "We are not just victims of a cruel joke," he said, his voice strong. "We are warriors for our community. We believe in the power of unity." The audience erupted in applause, their energy feeding the couple's enthusiasm. Among them stood Victor, who had been listening quietly, reflecting on his own journey. He felt a deep sense of shame for his past actions, but tonight was different. He wanted to change. After the speeches, Clara and Ben made their way through the crowd, shaking hands and receiving warm words of encouragement. Suddenly, Victor approached them, his demeanor humble. "Clara, Ben," he said, his voice softer than before. "Can we talk?" The couple exchanged glances, unsure of what to expect. Clara took a step forward, her heart racing. "Of course, Victor. What's on your mind?" Victor hesitated, then took a deep breath. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened at the gala. I was wrong to mock you. I let my arrogance get the best of me. I want to apologize." Ben crossed his arms, skepticism etched on his face. "And why should we believe you now? You hurt us, and so many others." Victor nodded, accepting the challenge. "I understand why you feel that way. I've been reflecting on my actions, and I see now how much I have to learn. I want to use my resources to support small farmers and businesses, to make amends for my past." Clara's eyes widened in surprise. "You want to help us?" "Yes," Victor replied earnestly. "I know it won't erase what I did, but I want to contribute to something meaningful. Your resilience inspires me. I want to be part of that change." Ben looked at Clara, searching for her reaction. She stepped closer to Victor, her expression softening. "If you truly want to help, we would welcome you, but it will take time for us to trust you." Victor nodded gratefully. "I understand. I'll prove myself. I want to be part of your mission." As they stood together, a sense of possibility lingered in the air. The trio began to discuss ideas, sharing goals and visions for the future. They spoke of workshops for farmers, community gatherings, and ways to promote local produce. "I see a future where we can lift each other up," Clara said, her excitement palpable. "Together, we can create a movement." Ben smiled, feeling the weight of tension lift. This could be the start of something great. Victor looked at them, a newfound determination reflecting in his eyes. "I know I have a long way to go, but I believe in what we can achieve together." And so, as the evening unfolded, Clara, Ben, and Victor forged an unlikely bond. They recognized that their shared experiences, though painful, could lead to healing and growth, not just for themselves, but for their communities. The path ahead was uncertain, but they felt ready to face it together, united by a common purpose. As the sun rose over Riverton, a new beginning unfolded for Clara, Ben, and Victor. They gathered in Clara and Ben's modest office, a space filled with sketches, plans, and the vibrant energy of hope. The air was thick with the scent of fresh coffee and the sound of papers rustling. Clara looked around at her makeshift team, a smile breaking across her face. "Can you believe we're actually doing this?" she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Ben nodded, his hands resting on a stack of papers. "We have so much to accomplish. This is just the start." He glanced at Victor, who sat in a chair across from them, looking both nervous and eager. Victor cleared his throat, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. "I want to make sure we do this right. My company has resources, and I want to use them to help, not hinder." Clara leaned forward, her enthusiasm palpable. "That's exactly what we need. We can create workshops for small farmers, teaching them how to market their products and connect with buyers directly." Victor nodded, a newfound determination in his eyes. "And we can use my contacts to bring in sponsors for the events. Together, we can build something that lasts." Days turned into weeks as they worked tirelessly, planning events and reaching out to local farmers. The trio spent long hours together, often sharing stories over lunch. Laughter filled the room as they bonded over their shared experiences and dreams. One afternoon, while they were brainstorming ideas for a community fair, Ben suggested, "What if we have a contest for the best local recipe? It could draw people in and showcase the farmer's produce." Victor's face lit up. "That's a brilliant idea. We can invite local chefs to judge. It will bring everyone together." Clara clapped her hands, her excitement infectious. "And we could have a section for kids, teaching them about gardening and healthy eating. It's a great way to involve families." As they planned, the atmosphere shifted. Victor was no longer just the wealthy magnate. He became a friend and ally. He found joy in helping others and felt a sense of fulfillment he had never experienced before. One evening, after a long day of planning, they sat in a circle on the floor, surrounded by colorful flyers and decorations for the upcoming fair. Clara looked at Victor, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. "What's been the hardest part for you in all of this?" Victor took a deep breath, reflecting on the journey he had taken. "Honestly, accepting that success isn't just about money and power, it's about making a difference and connecting with people." Ben chimed in, "It's amazing to see how far you've come, Victor. You're not the same person who walked into that gala." Victor chuckled softly, a hint of embarrassment in his voice. "I was blinded by my own arrogance. I thought success was everything. Now, I see that it's about the impact we have on others." Clara nodded, her voice warm. "Your support means the world to us, Victor. We're all in this together." The day of the community fair arrived, and excitement buzzed in the air. Stalls filled with fresh produce and handmade goods lined the streets. Families gathered, children laughed, and the aroma of delicious food wafted through the crowd. Clara stood at the entrance, her heart racing. "Look at all these people, this is incredible." Ben wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "We did this together. It's more than we ever imagined." As the event unfolded, Victor walked through the crowd, greeting local farmers and thanking them for their participation. With each conversation, he felt a sense of belonging. He was no longer an outsider, he was part of this community. At the end of the day, they gathered on a small stage to thank everyone for coming. Clara took the microphone, her voice steady. "Today is a celebration of resilience, growth, and community. Together, we can achieve great things." Victor stepped forward, his expression sincere. "I want to apologize for my past behavior. I've learned that true success lies in kindness and connection. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this." The crowd erupted in applause, their cheers echoing the sentiment of unity. Clara, Ben, and Victor shared a look, a silent agreement that this was just the beginning of their journey together. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, they stood side by side, ready to face the future. They knew that true greatness was not measured by wealth or power, but by the bonds formed through empathy, understanding, and shared experiences. Their journey had only just begun. Share this story if you believe that community and connection can transform lives for the better. Leave a comment about a time when you came together with others to make a difference, and subscribe for more inspiring tales like this one.